Hello BigMacs and welcome back to another Let's Talk. So yes, BigMacs, today we are back doing something that I haven't done in a very long time, and that is another Let's Talk. So for you guys who haven't been around for a while or who haven't seen any of my previous Let's Talk videos, the whole concept of these videos is just kind of like someone either asks a subject or I just have one kind of topic that I just talk about throughout this entire video. And then after this video goes up, we just kind of have a conversation in the comments down below, either with me and you or you and all these other Big Macs. We just have a nice little discussion about this topic down below. So I wasn't really too sure about what to make this one on, but then one of you guys asked me to talk about depression, and I thought, let's go with that. So before we even get started, I think I should just throw this out there. Just in case you don't know, these are just my opinions and my thoughts and feelings on the certain subject. I am by no means the best person to be giving anyone advice, but one of you Big Macs asked me to talk about this, so that is what I'm going to do. And hopefully, if anything, this video can help someone out. But again, I am by no means a therapist or a psychiatrist or anyone like that. I'm just a regular guy just sharing his opinions. So I think we should just start this off mainly for people, I guess, dealing with depression. I mean, depression is like a very serious and touchy subject, you know, because each person kind of experiences depression in a different way. If that makes any sense? Like, I mean, like two people being depressed can mean completely different things for some people. But I think one of the main things is that a lot of people who are like feeling depressed, I know a lot of people that I've talked to when they're feeling depressed feel like they're the only ones who feel like that, and they just think that they're not normal for feeling depressed and being sad. But I think that's one misconception, is that everyone feels that way at some point. Everyone has been depressed at some point in their life, and when you're feeling that way, just know that you are not the only one who has gone through something like that. I think that is one of the key things, is that no one really ever talks about being depressed. I mean, everyone always puts on this facade of being happy and everything's great, even if something terrible is going on in their life. Just be open and honest about how you feel. I think that's one of the things that I'm not a huge fan of on YouTube, is when you see people forcing happiness and just telling people, oh, you're depressed, just don't do that, just smile and be happy. It's it's not that easy of a fix. You can't just fix depression like that, because as far as I know, you can't just, I'm happy now. And that's one of the things that I think overall in general is that people need to start accepting more, is that depression is an actual thing, but it is also okay at times to feel depressed. It is a normal thing that people go through. Obviously, there are extremes where depression is not a good thing. If it's happening, if that's all that there is, it might not be that great of a thing. But overall, depression is something that everyone has experienced in their life, and everyone kind of understands. Even if you're not willing to admit it, you've been depressed at some point in your life. And I think that's one of the main things that you need to realize when you're being depressed, and because I know some people, as I said before, feel like they're the only ones who are having this feeling of being depressed and being sad, and that no one will understand what they're going through. But that's one of the things that you need to understand, is that everyone at some point has been depressed, whether it be either something on the same scale or just something completely different. Even I've been depressed. I've had shitty days where I'm just what the fuck? What is happening? But I think that's something that could help you too, is that you need to realize that look at whoever you idolize most and know that that person has had a shitty day at some point in their life. And that's why I think it's also good to for more celebrities or well-known YouTubers to talk about this stuff, because when I've seen videos of YouTubers being depressed and I'm having a shitty day, in the comments I'll write to them what normally makes me feel good, or ways that I would feel better about myself, and then me writing that comment down of saying this is what I do when I'm depressed, I hope you feel better, kind of makes me feel a bit better, you know? Helping someone else out of, if that makes any sense? Because I think if people were more open and honest about their depression and how they deal with it, it would definitely help a lot more people who are depressed get out of that depression and get out of that funk that they're in. But I should say though too, I know that there are a lot more extreme cases, and in those cases I would say definitely go and talk to someone and get some help, or just even try to talk to your family and see if they've ever gone through the same thing, or even your friends if they've ever gone through a similar thing. and see if they can kind of help you out that way. Because I think you'd be surprised at like how many other people have kind of gone through the same thing that you are. And who knows, maybe whatever they say can kind of help you out of that depression that you're going through. But again, in like extreme cases, definitely go and like see some help. And a thing that I think that gets overlooked a lot when people talk about depression is everyone always just focuses on like the individual, it's themselves dealing with depression. But a lot of the time, it's the people on the outside who can make such a huge difference with like depression. You know what I mean? So it's like, say if one of your friends is feeling depressed, I think one things that I've started to think about is like how a lot of people just very easily give up on people when dealing with depression, if that makes sense at all. I feel like people just give up on people's emotions way too easily instead of like trying to help someone. They expect like a fix just like that, because like if you look at it, anything, like just think about it, anything that takes a while to even load, like if you're on a computer or anything, you get frustrated when it takes longer than it should to do something that it's done before, right? So now I kind of feel like we've kind of started to take those feelings and use it towards people, if that makes sense, where like if someone's feeling depressed and you just want them to be happy like that and you don't get that instant result, you're just like done with it and people just get over it way too easily. And I think that's something that we need to work on, is more patience when dealing with people. Because as I've said before, everyone has like deals with depression and has depression in different ways. So you're not going to get that instant result. Like I said before, sharing how you get out of depression with people could help, but that's something that you need to know too. It might not help. Like you might not get that instant result of like that person being like, you know what, I do feel better right now. It might take them a while to like process and everything. And I think that's something that we need to work on more, is just like kind of more understanding and more patience when dealing with people, because depression is a very serious thing. And I don't think that a lot of people really think it is. They just kind of assume that like, oh, you're depressed. What are you, like a teenager? Like depression is a very serious thing that even adults and older people and younger people deal with. And I think if we just all took the time to kind of like be there for someone and understand that it's going to take a while, it's not going to be an overnight or like just like that result of them being not depressed. I don't even know if like half of this has made any sense, but I'm just been kind of rambling on. So hopefully you guys are understanding what I'm talking about. And like another thing I've noticed is that I think some people automatically just assume that when they see someone who looks sad, their immediate question is always like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, are you okay? But I think that is like the worst way to approach someone who's feeling depressed. The first approach can make a huge difference too, because I think a lot of people, when they first go into either seeing someone who's sad or seeing someone who looks like depressed, their first question is always like, are you okay? Or is everything fine? Or it's like, oh, you look sad, is everything okay? And I think that to me is not the greatest way to like kind of first approach someone who is depressed, because especially with my experience, people who are normally depressed aren't just going to immediately off the bat tell you everything that's wrong. But then also B, like what I've also experienced too, when people ask me that, I'm like, no, I'm having a good day, but now you're making me question it because you're telling me right off the bat that I look like something's wrong, and then it can kind of spiral down that way, if that makes sense. Like the person could be having a great day up until that point, and then you just kind of like make them question why you just assume that they look sad and look depressed. So I think like when you're first kind of dealing with it, you just have a regular conversation with someone, and then you can kind of like ease into it. You know what I mean? So it's like you kind of make them feel a bit more comfortable around you. And then that's when you can start to like get a bit further deep into it and like start talking to them about what has happened and why they're depressed, and trying to help them deal with it. If that, I don't know if that made sense, but it does to me. Because whenever I've had a bunch of friends who have been depressed, and like the first thing I never immediately am like, what's wrong with you? Why are you sad? It's always like, hey, how are you? And then just a normal conversation, and then you see them kind of like get a bit more comfortable and open up, and then that's when you can start talking to them and trying to help them with their problems. Because I feel like a lot of people just expect that like instant result. Again, as I've said before, like a lot of people just, it's like if you don't get that immediate result, you're just like, oh, I can't help you. I'm done. I've given up on you. And that is something that I think also can lead to depression, is when you've tried to talk to people who you think are your friends or your family, and then they're just like, well, I gave you 2 seconds of my day and you clearly haven't changed, and then they just like give up on them. And that definitely does not help. Like, I think that's something that I need to keep stating over and over again, is that when you're dealing with people who are dealing with depression, it's going to take some time. Like, I've had friends who, like, if we've been out at a party and they're just like, you know what, I need to not be here right now. Let's go. I'm okay with leaving, because sure, even if I'm having a great time and I don't want to leave, I understand that my friend needs someone to talk to and needs somewhere to go, and not, you know what I mean? Like, what's giving up like 2 seconds of your life? It could save someone's entire life. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's something that a lot of people don't like. They don't want to like waste their time, but it's not, you're not wasting your time if you're saving someone or helping someone. That is not wasting time. I think that is like the main overall thing, that is that people just need to have a lot more patience. Not understand that everyone is not a robot, and not everyone just has a switch that you can just be like, oh, you're depressed? There you go. Not depressed anymore. It actually takes some time and talking to. And sometimes if you need to miss out on something to be there for a friend, I would assume and I would hope that you would be okay with that and you would understand that. And I would hope that you would be there for someone when they are having a very shitty feeling. But really, that's all I can kind of think about when talking about depression. Again, just to kind of go over, I think when you're feeling depressed, know that you are not the only one who's feeling that way. And even too, I saw another great thing to do when you're feeling depressed is something that Hannah Hart showed on one of her videos, where sometimes you feel depressed about not really doing anything that day, and you're just kind of lying there, and then that kind of can lead to more depression and you thinking more and feeling more depressed. But one of the ideas that she had, which some people might find stupid, but I think is a great idea, is just set like small goals that you know that you can do throughout that day, so you can kind of get that feeling of like, I did something, I've done something, I've accomplished something, even if it's something stupid. Like, you know what, I'm going to go and shower today. I am going to go clean my room. I'm going to vacuum. I'm going to do the dishes. Something like that, just so you can kind of get that feeling of accomplishment and something that you've done. And hopefully, like, setting those smaller goals can like kind of snowball effect into setting bigger goals and helping you get out of that depression. But yes, overall, I think we all just need to come to an understanding that depression is an actual thing, and not just like sweep it under the rug like a lot of people like to do. It is a normal human emotion that everyone experiences at some point in their life, and it's a normal thing. But again, in like there are extreme cases where it is not an okay thing, and you should either talk to someone or look for some kind of help. Whew. But yeah, BigMacs, that is all I can really think to talk about on depression right now. I hope that it did make sense, and I hope that if you are depressed right now, this video could help you in any kind of way. I know I kind of rambled on and made points that might not have made sense to you guys, but hopefully this video will help someone. And again, to all those people out there, if you know someone who has depression, just remember, patience is key. You're not just going to get that immediate reaction or that immediate switch that you are probably expecting. It's going to take some time. I mean, everyone is different, so not every reaction is going to be the exact same. And if you are actually dealing with depression, just remember that you are not alone, and go and try and talk to someone, because you'd be surprised at how many people have probably felt the same way as you. Again, I hope that this video did help someone, but I would love to hear from you guys. So if you, BigMacs, have any suggestions on either dealing with depression or helping people with depression, let me know in the comments down below. Because if there's anything we can do from this video, it is help people. That is one of the key points of these Let's Talks, is to try and help people. So if you, BigMacs, have any other ideas or suggestions on how to deal with depression, please write them in the comments down below. Because who knows, it could end up helping someone. But again, BigMacs, I hope that this video did make sense to you guys, and I hope that you guys did like it. If you have any other suggestions for any other topics of Let's Talks that you'd like me to do, either more serious ones like this, or just any other kind of topics that you'd like me to talk about, please let me know in the comments down below. But once again, BigMacs, I hope that you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope that it did help some of you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.